Before the first passenger boards and long after the final plane lands, an entire team works around the clock to keep aircraft safe, efficient, and on schedule. From the tarmac to the flight deck, airline operations are among the most high-risk, high-responsibility jobs in the transportation world. Welcome back to the final episode of our 6-part transportation safety series. In our last video, we navigated the hazards of ferry systems, weather conditions, overcrowding, onboard fires, and 4 major case studies from around the globe. If you missed it, go back and watch, especially if you or your team works on or near the water. Today we take to the skies, but not just the pilots. This episode is about everyone in aviation. Ground crews, mechanics, gate agents, flight attendants, and flight crews. We'll explore the top hazards, real-life incidents, and safety controls that protect workers in one of the most scrutinized transportation sectors. Let's begin with the scope. According to the International Air Transport Association, commercial aviation supports over 65 million jobs globally, and the vast majority of those workers never leave the ground. Meanwhile, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that aircraft mechanics, ground crews, and flight attendants experience higher than average injury rates. In fact, ramp agents and baggage handlers experience musculoskeletal injuries at nearly double the national average due to repetitive lifting, twisting, and environmental factors like ice and heat. The European Aviation Safety Agency, or EASA, reports that operational staff, including flight attendants, encounter a high frequency of in-flight injuries. These are often caused by turbulence, equipment malfunctions, and, at times, conflicts with passengers. Now, globally, the aviation sector is definitely held to strict standards. But even with all the procedures in place, the pace, scale, and complexity of modern flight still leave some room for error. So what are the top hazards? First up, aircraft ground handling. This includes marshalling, towing, baggage handling, fueling, and cargo loading. These are honestly, fast-paced, loud, and time-sensitive environments, with moving aircraft, ground service equipment, and exposure to all kinds of weather. Injuries in these settings can range from crushed limbs to hearing loss to falls. Second, jet blast and prop wash. Engines can create wind forces strong enough to knock a person over, or, even throw debris like projectiles. Workers must stay aware of no-go zones, especially during taxi, pushback, or idle clearance. Third, fatigue and shift work. Long hours, irregular rosters, night shifts, and time zone hopping. These all wear down concentration, reaction time, and mood. Fatigue has been linked to slower emergency response times and even runway incursions involving air traffic control. Fourth, cabin safety. Flight attendants deal with medical emergencies, turbulence, aggressive passengers, and emergency evacuations. Injuries can result from falling objects, burns, and repetitive stress. Fifth, maintenance and repair. Technicians often work at heights, in tight, confined spaces, and they deal with hazardous chemicals and high voltages. Honestly, a single error or a missed step here can lead to catastrophic consequences. Sixth, airfield hazards. Ice, snow, lightning, bird strikes, and foreign object debris, or FOD, all contribute to unpredictable and sometimes dangerous working conditions out there. Seventh, emergency preparedness gaps. The reality is, some ground teams just aren't fully trained or regularly drilled in things like evacuations, fire response, or fuel spill management, even though they're often the very first on the scene. Alright, let's take a moment to examine 4 real-world aviation incidents. First up, the 2008 British Airways Flight 38 crash landing at Heathrow. The aircraft lost power on final approach and ended up landing short of the runway. Fortunately, everyone survived, although several people were injured. The investigation later revealed that ice crystals in the fuel system had restricted the flow. At the time, maintenance protocols didn't really account for that specific condition. So what's the takeaway here? Even systems that rarely fail still need to be studied, tested, and improved. Engineering assumptions? Yeah, they must be stress tested using real-world field data. Second, let's look at a 2015 incident where an airport ground handler in the US was tragically struck and killed by a baggage cart during icy ramp conditions. The cart didn't have an automatic braking system, and the worker slipped while trying to guide it manually. The root cause? Poor adaptation to weather conditions and missing equipment upgrades? The big lesson here? Equipment design has to evolve with changing conditions. And yeah, seasonal safety planning is absolutely essential. Third, in a 2022 incident on a regional flight in India, a cabin crew member was injured during sudden turbulence while performing beverage service. She wasn't secured and, well, the fasten seatbelt sign wasn't activated in time. The result? A fractured arm and a long-term disability leave. The lesson here? Communication between the cockpit and cabin must be timely, and turbulence procedures must be followed precisely. Fourth, let's revisit the 1991 LAX ramp incident, where a ground crew member was fatally injured while guiding a DC-10 into position. The jet's left engine was still at idle, and the worker was pulled into the intake. There were no barriers or cones in place, and the worker entered the danger zone unaware. The cause? A lack of standardized marshalling protocols and poor visibility. The lesson? Safety zones must be enforced with clear signage, physical barriers, and high-visibility PPE. So how do we protect aviation workers? Alright, so first things first. Safety zones and markings on ramps need to be clearly visible and strictly enforced. It's really important that only trained and properly badged personnel are allowed into active aircraft service areas. And workers should always receive updated airside training that includes visual examples, simulations, and real-time feedback. That kind of hands-on learning makes a big difference. Second, PPE and hearing protection. Yeah, they've got to be worn at all times. I mean, noise levels on the ramp can shoot past safe thresholds in just a matter of seconds. And don't forget, cold weather gear, anti-slip footwear, and high-visibility clothing. These things actually save lives, especially in low-light or extreme weather conditions. Third, equipment design and automation. They really need to keep evolving. Features like automated braking systems, ergonomic baggage lifts, collision sensors, and climate-specific tires can seriously cut down on common ramp injuries. And yeah, fuel nozzles and lavatory connectors, they should come with built-in spill prevention features. It's all about making the ramp a safer place to work. Fourth, rest policies and mental health support are essential. Fatigue isn't a personal failing. It's a systemic risk. Crew rosters should consider circadian rhythms, travel recovery time, and mental health check-ins. Airlines must create a non-punitive system for reporting fatigue. Fifth, cabin and crew training should include de-escalation medical emergencies, fire suppression, and rapid decision-making. Simulated drills must reflect high-pressure scenarios. Cabin crews must have direct access to flight deck communication and onboard resource management strategies. Sixth, maintenance protocols must be checklist-based, signed off with full accountability, and subject to regular audit, not rushed to meet scheduling pressure. Cross-checking by a second technician, as well as time-stamped digital logs, can reduce missed steps. Seventh, bird strike and FOD management. Airports must have active wildlife management programs and runway sweeps to reduce takeoff and landing risks. Ground teams must report FOD immediately, and airports must act quickly. Eighth, emergency preparedness. Ground personnel must know how to react during a fuel spill, fire, evacuation, or emergency return to gate. This includes working knowledge of fire extinguishers, first response protocol, and passenger guidance. Ninth, team communication. All staff must use standard aviation English, radio protocol, and follow hierarchy of communication without assuming others are in control. 10th, public safety during boarding and disembarking. Jet bridge design, gate delays, and crowd management must prioritize space, access, and response. Security must be visible, alert, and trained in intervention tactics. Aviation is often described as the safest form of travel. But that's only true because of the relentless work of those behind the scenes. Their safety matters just as much as the passengers they serve. From the baggage ramp to the control tower and from the cabin aisle to the hangar floor, every role is vital, and every risk deserves serious attention. If this series opened your eyes to the real work behind safe transportation, please like, subscribe, and share it with your crew. And if you've worked in aviation, on the ground or in the air, we'd love to hear your insights in the comments. Until next time, stay sharp, stay supported, and stay cleared for takeoff.